Alright guys, in this video we're going to talk about how raw milk will never heal your gut. Even though it's a great food, one of my favorite foods, raw milk will never ever heal your gut. And you can substitute this with raw kefir or raw yogurt. It will never fix your digestive issues, whichever one you are having. And this is someone with a lot, I'm someone with a lot of experience with raw milk. I worked on a raw milk farm. I've seen lots of people use these products, and they are great products. They are one of the easiest to digest and most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, but they will never, ever fix your gut because gut disease starts in the brain, in the psyche. And now, before you freak out, I want to show you how this all happens because when people use German new medicine, their food intolerances go away overnight. And these old raw milk cures, when these people, they all they did was drink raw milk for a few weeks and they got better. I think this was because of a few very specific reasons and things that they did in these raw milk cures that they don't do anymore, that people aren't practicing anymore. So we're going to talk about how to use German new medicine to heal your gut and kind of why raw milk doesn't address them and what you should do instead. I still recommend this food, but I want to show you what's really causing your problems. So, again, we don't really have gut diseases. These are instead significant biological programs that get switched on from a conflict shock, a stressful situation that caught you off guard. And when this happened, you got symptoms on the autonomic nervous system level. You have cold hands, cold feet. You're obsessing about this problem. Let's say your neighbor ran over your dog. I can't believe my neighbor didn't look both ways before he ran over my dog. Oh, this is horrible. So that's awful, but this is just the thing. I just saw my neighbor drive by. So, yeah, your indigestible morsels. Oh my God, I cannot believe my neighbor ran over my dog. I really liked that dog. And this is like a pretty ugly indigestible morsel. The neighbor was a complete jerk about it and he wouldn't pay for the cremation of the dog and all that fun stuff and the little headstone you have in your backyard. So you're very upset about it. This is an ugly indigestible morsel. That's the way you experience it. So it's going to register on your colon, and you're probably angry about it too. But no, let's say you're not angry about it. You're just more sad and devastated about it. So this is going to register on your colon. It's an ugly indigestible morsel. And I know a lot of you who have colitis, it was an ugly indigestible morsel. This thing you just couldn't get over that turned on your colon, significant biological special program. So what your body does to help you digest this indigestible morsel in your life is it builds more gut cells. And you'll see evidence of these gut cells when you do a colonoscopy and you have these polyps in your colon. These are the extra gut cells trying to help you digest this indigestible morsel. So during the conflict active phase, while you're fighting with your neighbor or whatever, there's going to be a Hammer focus in your brain. There's going to be a ring-shaped formation right where your colon, significant biological special program, is controlled. You're going to have the autonomic nervous systems. You're going to be stressed out trying to figure out this problem. And on the organ level, you're not going to feel it. You're not going to feel it, but you're going to be develop cell proliferation. You're going to be developing more gut cells to help you digest this indigestible morsel. And so when you resolve this conflict, I don't know how you would resolve that conflict, after you get a new dog or something like that, or something. Now all of a sudden you don't need these extra gut cells and your body's going to get rid of them. So that's where all the diarrhea, the mucus, and all that fun stuff starts to happen, and the gut pain, the intestinal pain. Now, how would raw milk fix this problem? There's no physical way that raw milk can insert itself into this equation and make everything okay. It can help support this process, but this process has to come first before the raw milk is going to do any good. Technically, you could drink raw milk while you're conflict active and you're stuck in a hanging healing. So the reason why we never get out of the healing phase is because we keep encountering tracks. Maybe tracks are things that remind you of the conflict. So maybe every time you see your dog, it reminds you of your dog getting run over. Or maybe every time you see your neighbor, you remember how much you hate him and because he ran over your dog, and you just can't accept that he did this, and blah blah blah, and then you get the healing symptoms. So how does raw milk resolve those tracks? It doesn't. How does raw milk resolve the conflict? It doesn't. Raw milk helps support the healing phase by giving your body the nutrients it needs to get rid of these extra gut cells. And when it does that, it has to remove some of the original. So there is like tissue repair happening here in the healing phase. So raw milk will help give your body the nutrients it needs in an easy to digest format to rebuild your tissue. But the brain and the significant biological program is what is, it's like, the conductor. Dum, dum, dum. Okay, the violins, they're very beautiful instruments over there in the symphony, but unless the conductor waves its wand over there for the violins to start playing, it ain't going to play. Until the brain, until the psyche has cleared out all the tracks and resolved the conflict and made it, you've made it through the healing phase while identifying and resolving your tracks, you're not going to shut off the significant biological program that's responsible for your colitis or Crohn's or whatever gut healing issues you're dealing with. Let's say you have gastritis or stomach issues. Raw milk is great for that because when you have ulcers and stuff like that, the more stomach acid your stomach needs to produce, it's going to hurt. So raw milk is very easy to digest, only sits in the stomach for a very short time, and requires less stomach acid to digest. So raw milk is a great healing food. It's one of my favorite healing foods, but it will never, ever, 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 ever fix your digestive issues, because it's not, malnutrition is not what is causing your gut issues. Malnutrition is not causing your gut issues. It is these significant biological programs that are not being shut off due to you constantly encountering tracks. We need to identify them and neutralize them. And I have a whole video on how to do that. Now, people like Dr. Porter and these doctors who used to do the raw milk cures with very high success rates, I think there was two aspects of that we need to keep in mind when factoring into how to use raw milk to heal our gut. First off, their patients were probably super nutrient deficient. They were people who were eating healthy wasn't a thing. Most people were eating coffee, chocolate, white bread, and white sugar, and barely eating meat. Their diets were atrocious back then. They were super malnourished. So the raw milk would have fixed that problem very, very quickly. And another thing that they had them do is, some doctors were more strict on this than others, and this is where I think this thing addressed the German New Medicine side of things by resolving the tracks and stuff like that. Is one, all the food tracks disappear because you're eating this food and that's all you're going to eat. Boom, and it's safe. I know it works. Oh, this is safe. I'm not eating anything else. Oh, okay, great. So all food tracks are resolved right then and there. Now, um, they had you rest. They had you rest. And when I say rest, they like locked you in a room by yourself. You weren't There was no TV during this time. Some of them didn't allow you to read books. Some of them allowed you to read books. No visitors. Like, they had you just sit by yourself and rest. And I think what this allowed a lot of people to do is just shut off the brain. And after a few days, they got to come to terms with like sitting here and doing nothing and not dying of boredom. So they're able to just shut everything off. And this was during a time like in the early 1900s where, we didn't have cell phones or radios, and I guess the newspaper was like your biggest form of media back then. But it really allowed these people to relax and put their problems aside while they were at these raw milk sanatoriums. I think that's a big, 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 big part of the raw milk cure that gets left out today. But good news is you don't have to do that. That sounds absolutely miserable to sit there and do nothing for a month or two. Like, these people were literally on bed rest, weren't allowed to do anything for a month or two, and like literally they had to drink like 1.5 gallons of milk, and it literally takes the whole day of drinking milk and peeing to drink that much milk, because all you're doing is drinking like tons of milk and peeing like all day. It takes all day to do this. It's a all day affair to get that much milk into you. 1.5 gallons of milk, 6 liters of milk. So if you're dealing with Crohn's or colitis or most digestive issues, you need to identify and neutralize your tracks. Those are the big, 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 big things. So I'll give you just a little bit on how to do this right now. So, instead of blaming foods for your symptoms, they are responsible for some of them, but it's just because you've been brainwashed to believe that certain foods are like from the devil, even though Jesus said and God said you could eat, they recommended that you eat bread and wheat. It's just getting ridiculous. You are not allergic to energy and nutrients. They are safe. Your subconscious thinks they are dangerous because, through all the brainwashing on YouTube, and maybe one time you got sick. So what happens is, so let's say you resolve the conflict about, your dog getting run over by your neighbor, and when that happens, you're going to get a lot of symptoms. And on that day, you finally bury your dog or whatever the day after, when you finally are over it. You have your milk and cookies at night or whatever, or you have pizza that day or something, and then all these fun symptoms start, and you go, and while you're sitting on the toilet, you're going to think to yourself, man, what did I eat? I had dairy that day. And my GI doctor told me dairy wasn't good. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, now all of a sudden dairy is a track. Now all of a sudden dairy is tied to this significant biological special program, and now every time you have dairy, your subconscious thinks it's dangerous, and you're going to get symptoms. And once you realize that, you go, oh wow, that's it. Dairy wasn't the cause of my symptoms. It was I just got over my dog being run over by my neighbor. And you just feel this wave of relief. I can have dairy again. Dairy's delicious. I miss mac and cheese. I miss milk and cookies. I miss ice cream. I want to show you how to eat these foods again. And then you have these emotional tracks. Every time you see your neighbor, how do you resolve that track? So, and you got to convince yourself that it's safe again. Maybe, you bought a fence for your I don't know, for your yard. Now the dog's safe and it's not going to get run over anymore. That's a way to resolve that track, I guess. So it's really not a threat anymore. So it just depends on the nature of the conflict and the nature of its tracks. But if you would like my help with this German new medicine stuff to get you results like literally overnight, make these food intolerances disappear overnight, make these symptoms, I've seen these symptoms go away like in a week, then I suggest that you sign up for my Rapid Gut Healing Program. It has over 8 hours of videos. We do live Q&As twice a week where I answer your questions over a Zoom call, and a Facebook group where I answer your questions every single day inside the group. And it comes with a protocol workbook, and we'll hold your hand through this process of identifying and neutralizing these tracts. What are the best foods for you to heal, to give your body the nutrients it needs to heal. But the point of this video I want to make is raw milk will never, ever, ever, ever heal your gut. It will give your body the nutrients it needs to heal your gut, but it will never heal your gut, because your brain and your psyche and the significant our ancient programming is what's dictating that. And that's what I want you guys to understand. And it is possible. If you click on the video down below, that takes you to the page to purchase my program. You'll see tons and tons of testimonials. I've lost count of them. But I want to see you guys get better so you can get back to your life and enjoy food again. Enjoy food again. Enjoy going out with your coworkers and getting some pizza and getting some wine or beer. Wine doesn't really go with pizza. But, going out on a date and getting ice cream. Taking out your kids for ice cream. Going on a vacation. Getting back to your life. Man, it sucks being on these boring, bland diets. It sucks having chronic diarrhea. I want to show you how to fix all this stuff. It's very easy. You don't have to be on dangerous, expensive drugs for the rest of your life. You don't have to be on dangerous, boring, bland. You don't have to be on boring, bland diets for the rest of your life. I know you're sick of those keto and carnivore diets. So, yeah, guys. Good luck healing. And if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I'll try to answer it the best I can. Bye-bye.